Hello everyone, welcome back to our very tall Sicily campaign. I am Ben the Bold, you are you, and we, in the Sicilian League today, are fighting Rome. So, in the last episode, we prepared for a war with Crete. We had even dictated a strategy involving, sending a first wave of mercenaries over, trying to deal with their navy, and then maybe sending some of my own men over into Crete to try to just kind of clean up and try to take a bunch more tributaries and feudatories over in the Aegean. However, then we noticed that the long-standing alliance between the Etruscans and the Romans had finally fallen apart, and they were locked in a bitter conflict, the very beginning of said bitter conflict. And, well, we decided that if we were ever going to attack Rome, now had to be the time. So, we have declared war on Rome. We are just going after this one little province. If we can just take it, I don't even think they have any forts here. So if we can take it, hold on to this territory in Magna Graecia, we will start to get that ticking war score. Hopefully a bunch of my feudataries will help. Unfortunately, these two feudataries have decided that they are rather unloyal and have decided that they do not want to join into this fight, which is unfortunate because they, having those two fairly decent-sized armies, would have been extremely beneficial. And in fact, can I call you in now? No. So you just did not join and will not join. And that kind of makes me mad. They said that even though they liked me, it claimed that they were disloyal subjects. If anyone knows how I can tell whether a subject is loyal or not, please let me know in the comments. Either way, we have some work to do. So I'm immediately going to start moving the mercenaries that I had hired towards Roman territory. These mercenaries are just going to, I guess, for now, continue to heal up. I might even consider hiring these mercenaries. Am I still making money? I am not, but I do have quite the large war chest. We'll see what happens. I might end up hiring some more of my mercenaries here in Corsica, or in Sardinia. However, I'm a little nervous because I am actually outclassed by their navy. I do think I have more heavy ships. I think I would be able to bring them down. But, I mean, I have those 7 megapolyremes, which is very useful. But I am slightly outclassed by their navy. They have a slightly larger navy, and of course, very important in this campaign is maintaining naval dominance, especially when fighting a country like Rome. We are going to need to make sure we can hold this straight. It's going to be a tough fight for the Romans to even just make it to that strait. They have to go through a lot of my tributaries first, but let's go ahead and unpause the game and get started. We're hoping that most of the Roman fleet is going to be tied up in the north, dealing with Etrusca. And would you look at that, right away, we actually are already going to start getting that ticking war score because we completely control the province of Calabria. That is huge, and what a way to begin the war. Let's also go ahead. There's no point in holding my 30,000 men out. Let's go ahead and move them in as well. These 21,000 men are still working to regain their morale. If only you had joined this war. We needed your men. We needed your men. I would actually like to engage the Romans. I know that that might be giving up engage the Roman fleet. I know that that might be giving up a huge advantage I have. I want to be very careful with how my fleet handles itself. But I think that maybe our focus on the heavier vessels could pay off in the long run. As you can see, we are starting to lose some money. That's because we've hired so many mercenaries. I'm okay with that, though. I think it's important to go ahead and make sure that we have a strong army. We have quite the war chest. We can kind of continue to outlast. Plus, I'm going to blockade this port. That's going to give me a little bit more money every month as well. I don't want to buy any inventions at the moment, even though I have plenty available, some that might be very useful. For instance, the army morale recovery would be very useful, but that's ticking into my surplus in gold, and I want to make sure that I have plenty of gold for this fight, because this might be a long, drawn-out fight. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear that they have any forts in Magna Graecia for me to take. That's both a blessing and a curse. One, it makes it all that much easier for me to just march through their lands and take a bunch of it very quickly. However, the downside here is it's easy for them to retake as well. Either way, my feudataries are doing a good job. Hopefully, over the course of this war, we start, my feudataries start moving. Like, for instance, these two armies here in Sardinia, they're not going to do me any good in Sardinia. They need to be on Italy itself in the peninsula for them to do much good for me. Right now, it is mostly a war of my own. With that said, however, it is starting out really well. The Romans have not been able to respond. They are instead still working their way through Etrurium. Now, the Etruscans, they are pretty strong, but nowhere near as strong as Rome. So I really don't expect them to hold for very long. So I need to make lots of... Let's go ahead and get that tax rate up to maybe even afford some more mercenaries, or just to make it so that we can afford our mercenaries. I don't expect the Etruscans to hold for long. In fact, I would expect Rome to move through them kind of like a hot knife through butter, honestly. Which would be a huge problem once they actually take all this land, because this is good land. This is very good land. It's of their culture. It's of their religion. They would integrate those pops very quickly. And then once that happens, they become this huge juggernaut. Not to say that they aren't already this huge juggernaut to be dealt with. But like, once they start taking that land and maybe take a little bit more land in Gaul, then they might be unassailable here. So we had to go to war now. It was, if not now, we might have lost our chance. If not now, when, you might say. And very quickly, it actually does look like we are going to take all of Magna Graecia. I'm going to go ahead and start moving some of these mercenaries up towards the front. You all are, at this point, in decent enough shape to where I feel like I can move you towards the front as well. Let's move. We're going to try to move all of our troops in as a cohesive unit. It would be nice if we could reinforce this siege. I'm going to go ahead and do that here. I like using our fleet in this instance as our eyes. We can kind of see what they're doing, see if they're going to take this little coastal road towards our troops. If we could take this fortress, that would be huge for us. It looks like our feudataries are slowly but surely moving their men to Italia. That is perfect. That is exactly what we want them to do. So far, so good. Of course, we have not had to engage any Roman armies as of yet. And I truly do worry about what happens when the Etrurians can no longer hold. Yeah, because they already have 36 war score. Oh man, they are falling, and kind of falling quickly. I worry about them. I worry what happens there. It looks like our Massalian brothers have taken a defeat at the hands of the Romans. But this is where, alright, so this is where our long-term strategy is really starting to pay off. Alright, first of all, we have a military restructuring. Let's not get ahead of myself. I'm going to go ahead and, you're very loyal. I'm going to go ahead and get the increased morale. But this is where our long-term strategy has really paid off. Having a feudatory, plus we just had some troops left over here from the last war. Having troops up here, having troops in Epponia, where they have already marched over. You see, there's the Epponian army, or Emporian army. Having them there is already paying off dividends, because now Rome is fighting in Etruria. They are fighting in the north, and of course my men are fighting in the south. There is their navy. That is a strong navy indeed. Let's see how many ships they have. So they have 125 ships to our 110. So that's a little alarming. Maybe I should go ahead and start just building some more ships. Let's go with... just build a couple more ships there. Of course, this... we have won a major siege. That is huge. And now, let us keep moving forward into Roman territory. I'll let those 22,000 men siege out that province, and I guess they are just... you're just going to be stuck here for now. I will admit, this war is one where I do wish that I wasn't, arbitrarily... I have arbitrarily locked myself into not expanding my territory outside of Sicily. I would love to go ahead and take all of Magna Graecia in this war and take it for myself as Sicily. However, part of the kind of predefined rules of our very tall Sicily campaign is that I will not expand outside of the island of Sicily itself, except for one notable exception. I did take this little Melite city, and that's just because it is in the same province as, it's in the Sicilian province. So I went ahead and said that, all right, I will take Sicily, and I will go ahead and take, I guess that's like, what, Malta? So I will take Sicily, and I will take Malta, and that is all of the territorial expansion I will do. But I do have quite a few feudatory states, which are right now mostly being very loyal, except for you two, which you two really could have helped me in this war. But I have quite a number of feudatory states. I've taken some tributary states. So I'm focusing on using my subjects to expand my influence into what I am calling the Sicilian League, instead of growing necessarily as Sicily itself. I am just going to come on down here and hit this Install Provincial Procurators button. I wanted to do that earlier. And in fact, I'm going to do it here as well. Let's just go ahead and make all of my pops in Sicily just all that more important. Go ahead and raise their output by a little bit. As you can tell, we have a huge number of pops in Syracuse. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and build another aqueduct because I have a feeling, or at least I am hoping, to take a lot of slaves in this war. I would love to cripple Rome to the point where I no longer have to worry about it. For those of you who have maybe been watching from the beginning, Rome was actually crippled at one point. They, at one point, had lost their kind of heartland. They only owned like a tiny sliver of land on the eastern coast of Italy, and they did own Rome itself, but they had lost all of the territories around Rome, which means Rome didn't have access to some of these juicy farms, like the farmland in Norba. And so Rome was actually, like, dying. It only at one point was down to like 30-something pops. It was slowly starving. Of course, Rome was able to make a resurgence, mostly because I dealt with the country. They were the Samniums, who had taken over the land that Rome had once occupied. I went ahead and defeated them in a big war, and then Rome came in and kind of cleaned up. But, yeah, so Rome has already resurged once in this fight, or in this campaign. I'm hoping to knock them out in this war to a point where I no longer have to necessarily worry about them on the Italian peninsula. Again, of course, that's going to be difficult because, one, look at how many cohorts they have. They have 158 cohorts. That is a lot by any stretch. That is too many Romans at my border for me to remain comfortable. Looks like our allies have taken this city, and we once again will advance with our armies into the very heartland of Rome itself. Excellent work, my allies. Oh, and it looks like the first Roman army is coming down. They've seen how far and how quickly we have expanded. We already have 47 war scores, so we're going to just see what we can do. In fact, there doesn't look to be another fortress between our soldiers and Rome, so if we can deal with this army, we might just go ahead and try to sack Rome. Of course, dealing with that army is easier said than done. I'm going to go ahead and just move all of these troops. Maybe I should have waited till they were movement locked. I'm going to go ahead and go back down to speed 3. Let's wait until their movement locked. Alright, and they've actually decided, nope, they don't want any part of that. Those are hills. I don't want to be the aggressor in the hills. Let's just sit tight for a second, see what this army's going to do. See what all my... Okay, this... Alright, so I don't want to be the aggressor in the hills, but if my allies are going there, I will as well. Let us... We will use all of our armies to come and hopefully just hammer down this army. Oh, and in fact, we did not make it there. That's a shame. Alright, well, let us keep advancing. We'll let that army deal with us. We'll let that army come to us, I guess. I'll tell you what, my little allies, my feudataries, are being very brave. They have decided that they are going to chase these 36,000 men, these 36,000 Roman soldiers out of Magna Graecia itself. Let's go ahead and look at the region of Magna Graecia. I would love to go ahead and free all of Magna Graecia, turn it into Greece into a thriving Greek region once again. To do that, however, I will have to give a bunch of land to my feudataries. I'm okay with that, though. I guess I'm just going to keep on going towards Rome. If they're not going to stop me, I would love to sack Rome itself. Obviously, this army is a worry. Wait. If they're going to engage, if my allies are going to engage, I will as well. Let's go ahead and just... Nope. See? We've once again scared them away. Perfect. Yeah, I'm just going to keep on the road to Rome. If my allies want to engage in these fights with the Romans, so be it. But I am going to keep on marching to Rome itself, trying to take as many pops off of the Romans. Looks like we're going to... Okay, this is going to be a huge fight in the Mediterranean. Our navy against theirs, good against good. We probably won't win this. Let's see. Yeah, they have a much better commander. Can I get a better commander real quick? 11. By all means. Alright, so now I now have a better commander. It says I might win this fight now. Let's check out maybe changing tactics a little bit. It looks like this harassment is going to be my best bet, especially if they are doing probing attack. Let's look at their composition. They have lots of those smaller ships, like a lot of those smaller ships, so maybe probing attack is something that they would do. We'll see. I think I'm going to go with just the one that works out better for me, and that's harassment. Of course, if they have frontal assault, I might be in a little bit of trouble. Of course, the frontal assault helps my megapolaremes. I'm going to do harassment. It seems to be... Actually, I bet they do harassment, so I'm going to do frontal assault. I don't think that they'll do the close ranks, because that doesn't give them any tactical effectiveness for their... Alright, so I think I'm going to leave it in frontal assault. Oh, and of course, they actually did do close ranks. So, I was completely wrong there. So, they get the tactics advantage, but it's own... They only have a 3% tactic advantage. However, I have a minus 10% tactic disadvantage. So right away, this battle does not start off the way I would hope. But that doesn't mean it won't finish the way I want it to. Let's keep our armies advancing. It seems like they are going to finally fight. But at this point, my armies are too far away. That's not good. That's not good. I could think about... Oh, I'm actually making money now. Just a little bit. I could think about hiring these 19,000 men. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I know that it might seem dumb, like, hey, I'm making a lot of gains, but the thing is, Rome is strong. We know that Rome is strong. We know that any minute they might turn all of their troops that are sitting here in Etruria trying to siege it down, trying to take on these 40 cohorts. At any moment, they could move all of those south. And so, while I, at this point, I think could peace out kind of at will. In fact, let's go ahead and look. If I gave, like, some provinces away, like you would go to the Crotons. You would also go to the Crotons. Hipponia has been very loyal, so I want to reward that as well. So let's give you to Hipponia. You to Hipponia. Turia is fighting in this war, correct? So let's give you to Turia. You to Turia. Let's go ahead and just give all this land to Turia. Or Thuria. Who else? Who else? Are the Locri in this fight? Yes, the Locri have become... You know what? Thank you, Locri. Ooh, and you have 30... Should have seen them before hiring these 19. This is already owned by the Locri. I could just go ahead and give some more of it to Locri. I'm going to give one more province to the Thurians. They no longer need to be a city-state anymore. And let's give the rest of... Actually, let's give this city to Thuria as well. I feel like they deserve it. They've come to our aid several times. And let's give the rest of this land, at least for now, to the Locri. There we go. So now, let's just see if the war were to end today, what we could get. So they would give us pretty much all of this province. Oh, they'd be willing to accept this right here. Interesting, interesting, interesting. And then I think I actually might give some of my Greek cities land in Italy as well. So like Aetolia maybe? Give you this little like kind of port area. I mean, this is kind of wishful thinking at this point, because I don't necessarily know if I'd be able to take all of this in a peace deal. Definitely want one of my subjects to have control of Naples. Maybe the Corkians? Or they're... Of course, we are probably a long way away from enforcing this peace deal, that's for sure. But again, let's just kind of see what we could get if we sued for peace today. They would accept this, and they still have a few more reasons. Okay, so they would accept this, and even give some land to Corkia, but have them release some nations. So we could get quite a bit at the current moment. Of course, I want to see how far I can take this. Of course, I think I'm going to lose this fight down here, which is unfortunate. And that might cause us to lose some momentum as well as some war score. But let's see, has our war score even ticked up all the way yet? No, so we are still getting a ticking war score. And we're making progress towards Rome itself. Plus, we just got another martial advancement. I will go ahead and spend the money on some of these discipline advancements, especially this hexareme discipline right in the middle of battle. Let's see if our ships can go, while they are in a fight, get a little bit of an advantage here. If we can win this naval fight, I'll be a lot more comfortable continuing on in this war. Unfortunately, oh, they're taking heavy losses, but their morale is still very high. While this fight's going on, I want to go ahead and just inch closer and closer to Rome itself. Looks like our men are going to take a pretty horrific loss. So we are going to lose a little bit of momentum here for the time being. Let's go ahead and park an army on Rome, though. Look at what's happening here. We're still pretty even, however, we haven't lost any ships. They've lost a few. Morale is still very even. We're evening out the numbers. Alright, now our ships are starting, our battle line's starting to falter. Oh man, this is going to be such a close naval fight. Oh, and I think we are going to lose, but I don't think we're going to lose that many ships. As long as our fleet is still intact, we are going to lose the naval fight. Oh no, that's unfortunate. Alright, so let's see what happened. We lost... Oh, but they actually were able to regain some of their numbers. Although we were 2? Alright, so wait, what happened here? So, we lost 7... We lost 2 megapolyremes. Oh, man. That's not great. That's not great. So, we lost 2 megapolyremes. Not great indeed. I really thought we would win that for a second. Either way, we still seem to be in a decent shape as far as our navy goes. We did lose that fight, but we will just have to keep rebuilding the navy. I'm going to go ahead and build some more ships here as well. In this case, I think just numbers really helps us. So let's go to our ports and just build a bunch of these limb bosses. In the meantime, our navy has been defeated, but is not out of the fight. So that wasn't necessarily a decisive naval action. I still feel like we are in pretty good shape as far as the navy goes. Let's go ahead and move into some of these highly populated areas. Surely they'll start to send some armies this direction, right? So we have recently suffered 2, not major defeats, but we have suffered 2 defeats at the hands of the Romans recently. One on sea, one on land. Yeah, it looks like they're going to win that fight as well. Maybe they are coming a little bit closer towards us. Look at all of the slaves we have just taken there. That is going to be big news for our growing tall Sicily campaign. Look at all these troops just streaming across the border. In the meantime, these 19,000 troops are still gaining their morale. I'm surprised that we have not seen an army come from Etruria to try to relieve some of our pressure on Rome, especially if we could siege down Rome itself. That would be huge. Also, you know, I feel like the goal in every Imperator Rome playthrough, when you are not playing as Rome itself, I'll go ahead and take those... Ooh. So I could get a free fortress. No. I'm going to go ahead and just get the 3,000 additional manpower. In fact, I have 2 forts here in Messana. I did that so that it would just be all that more difficult for any army to, like, physically walk toward, you know, into our territory. I'm actually just going to go ahead and build another fort level. Let's make this just a absolute bastion so that even if we did have a horrific war, or maybe even just have like a rebellion from some of our feudatories, that we're still pretty safe here in Sicily. These 35,000 men still seem to be... Okay, that is what I was afraid of. They have pieced out and completely annexed the Etrurians. So now, every single cohort in their army, all 158,000 of their standing army is going to wash over us momentarily. We may not have enough time to actually take war, or Rome. But wait, did we just take that on a negative 28? I could have swore we were negative 28% chance to take Rome. It doesn't matter. We have captured, get this, 31 pops. Yeah. You saw that. There were 31 pops captured that have been distributed as slaves. 21 to Syracuse, and 10 of them died. Wow. Rome is 31 pops less now. Oh my goodness. What an effective siege. Well, let's keep going until we meet the main Roman forces. I don't see any reason not to just keep on keeping on through the Roman heartland. Latium has been devastated by our just marauding armies. We have very good generals. Want to keep an eye on... Yep, 9 pops taken. 22 pops taken to Syracuse. It's going to be quite some time before Latium is up to the full strength that it was before. Meanwhile, I'm going to have to start building some more aqueducts here. Oh my goodness. Go ahead and build 5 aqueducts, and let's go ahead and start building some theaters as well, because I need to go ahead and try to convert those pops. I might have to change this governor policy to cultural assimilation again. I'm getting so many Latin slaves. Look at that. Yeah, I am. Gonna have to go back to cultural assimilation. I don't have the food to... Let's import some more grain. I still don't have the food to feed them all. I'm gonna need to move some of them to this farming settlement. I want to move Hellenic slaves. Alright, so now I have 20. Alright, so now I'm finally in the green as far as... Obviously, not yet. It's still red, but I, you know, give it a month tick. Now it'll turn green. Yeah, perfect. Wow. Okay. Looks like we have just 725 days to kind of get where we're going. I'm going to go ahead and give some more of my land to my tributaries and... No, I mean, at this point, I'm going to give some land to the tributaries, but at this point, I'm going to keep marching my troops in. I am losing... Oh, man, I didn't even look at my economy situation. I'm losing 14 gold per turn, or per month. You know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and have to just disband them. That's going to cost me some money, but it's going to bring me back into a more manageable economic perspective. I want to make sure that I... Anyway, let's go ahead and I think maybe just give more of this land to the Low Cree? Yeah, I'm going to give it to Low Cree. All of this land. And then Latium. Oh, who should I give Latium to? Obviously, I don't necessarily know if I'll be able to take Latium or all of this, but I would love to take as much of it as possible. At this point, I've kind of given some land to everyone except for the Abrians. There's no way that that Rome would let me have Rome itself here. In fact, I'm probably going to have just Rome release a bunch of countries. And in fact, I wouldn't necessarily be upset about that. Let's keep pushing through and trying to take some pops off of the Romans. Although at this point, we have kind of just pushed through their economic power base and really, hopefully, weakened them permanently. But we can keep on moving through until that they're gonna try until they actually stop us. Of course, once we do meet all their cohorts, yeah, right there they are. All right, so let's see before we get into any kind of fight. Let's see what they would give us. We, after all, have taken a huge swath of territory from them. Alright, so we could have them release a bunch of land. It's useful. It'd be nice if we could have them release Etruria, but that might be just a little much. We'd have them give us a bunch of land. I think this might be the... Oh. Where even is this country? New Sertia? Are they up here somewhere? I don't know. I mean, I feel like I have them on the ropes. And they're just so strong, why should I piece them out at this point? Although, again, they are so strong. Taking a bunch of their, like, rich, profitable land from the south, they're just going to keep pushing north, but... And they did just take Etruria, so they're even stronger now. They probably won't even miss this land, considering the land that they've taken. Do I push through? Or do I try to hold off? Or just... Winning a couple fights could give me a little bit more war score. But they could also just pour just hundreds of troops into any battle, because I have a feeling that they are marching just 100,000 men south. Of course, we also have about 100,000 men right here. But then they have these 36,000, which... Alright, I think I am just going to go ahead and sue for peace. I like this peace deal. It seems relatively decent. I'm going to leave them their economic center, though. I could maybe have tried to take... The way it stands, I could maybe even have tried to take... Alright, let me try something again. What if I don't take any land outside of Magna Graecia? So I just take Magna Graecia, and then I come over here, and I have to... divide Latium up amongst two of my subjects. So now I'll sue for peace. Let's see if I can actually... Okay, so they will give up Latium. Plus all of Magna Graecia. But that's probably going to be it. I don't think they'd give up anything else, yeah. But Latium is such a strong territory for them. Plus, taking Rome off of the Romans, does it get any better than that? I'm going to go with this deal. I'm going to gain Magna Graecia into the Sicilian League, and I'm going to get Latium, the breadbasket of the Roman Empire. Well, historically, I think the breadbasket of the Roman Empire was actually down here in Sicily, but taking the most important territories away from Rome, giving them to 2 of my feudatories, and peace once again reigns in the Italian peninsula. We have liberated a bunch of countries. We have given our feudatories a bunch of land. And would you look at that? Roman Latium now is in the Sicilian League. It's going to be difficult for us to hold this land. You know that Rome's going to want it back. They're going to want it back so bad. Maybe it was a bad idea to take it, honestly, but it's going to be difficult for us to hold it, especially considering it's this little nation down here that's going to administer it. But, well, for now, we have a little I'm really excited with how this episode has gone. For now, we have a little outpost in Latin itself. We have forced them to release a couple nations. They're probably just going to, very quickly get those nations back. Unless I can first. Oh, no, that's actually... Oh, that was a mistake. Didn't mean to, you have no way to get to you. Oh, well. Anyway, that's where... Alright, so, sorry, I'm a little flustered. We have defeated Rome. They were... I have a feeling about to come down and really take down some of my army, so I feel like piecing out now was the best time to do it. I feel really good about this episode. I feel really good about where this channel, or where this playthrough is going. Sicily is feeling extremely tall. Look, over 300 pops in the city of Syracuse itself. I'm going to go ahead and just build another aqueduct. Hopefully those will build up fast before we start just, all of our pops dying due to overpopulation. I might actually start paying to move some slaves out into the countryside. For instance, I might as well go ahead and move another 9 pops to Camarnia. Let's actually do 2 more. That way I'm making yet again another grain here. So now I'm producing 4 grain just from this one province. That's going to help me even more in the food department. I actually might even start thinking about trading away some grain. We're going to go ahead and have to cancel some of these mercenaries, like you. That'll at least put us back up into the green. We will cancel you again as well. No, don't want to cancel you. That's my army. We'll cancel you. Now we're going to be making some money again. And we'll have to move our army back to Sicily. So we're in a good spot. We're in a really good spot. We're in a much better spot than when we started the most recent episode. We're in a much better spot than I think we've been all campaign. Our navy is even rebuilding to a just truly huge degree. I think we have taken a lot of the economic and food power base away from Rome at this point. They might start to struggle. They no longer scare me. My little vassal swarm seemed to handle them just fine, although I actually won that war without my troops or my mercenaries fighting in any battle. There was only really one major battle of the war, unless you also count that naval battle, which we unfortunately did lose, but it was not a devastating victory. We were able to escape with most of our ships intact. Either way, that's where I'm going to have to call it quits for today. This has been a really exciting episode. I hope you've enjoyed it too. If you have, make sure you hit that like button. Go ahead and hit subscribe so you can see where the rest of this campaign goes, and I will see you on the next one.